I'm still here.
Yeah. Okay, we should be live. If you're already watching us, just give us a minute to make sure our stream is live, and then we'll pop right in. Takes a minute for that to get there. Okay, I think I see it on, yeah, I see it on mine. You see it on yours, Liane?
No, I don't. Do I have to click anything on here?
I see it's on yours.
You do?
Yeah, I see it's on yours. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. This is the first time I'm doing this.
I know you're a total newbie here, so that's fun.
So fun.
So welcome everybody. If you're joining us, say hi. Let us know where you're popping in from. If you're catching this later, give us a hashtag replay. If it's the first time you've joined us on my timeline, my name is Candace. I'm 58 and 2 days. Woman, nanny, mom, wife, entrepreneur, leader, all the things. And I've been sharing my wellness journey for about 20 years. I've been in the profession for 37 years, but I've been on a real health journey for the last 20 years. And I've shared that with people. In the last 15, I've really focused on helping women find their voice again, their self-confidence, and just living their best life. And today I'm so excited to be joined by my good friend, Liane Charrett, who I've had the privilege of knowing for, I would say, about 3.5 years now. We met in a previous company and we were at an event together. And if you know Liane, you know this about her, but when she walks into a room, she has such a beautiful, graceful, quiet presence that you can almost mistake it as she's shy and introverted, but she's just so peaceful, so calm. And when she starts to speak, you're just overwhelmed and filled with her grace and her love. And she's a kick-ass entrepreneur. She's owned her own yoga studio for 25 years, now instructs yoga as well. And if you aren't following her already, I strongly recommend that you go. She's a mom. And she wears so many hats. She's a beautiful human. So Liane, I'm so excited for you to be here today.
I'm excited to be here too. And I do have to say, I am actually shy.
Oh, really?
Situationally.
Right. Yeah, I get that. It's like I'm an introverted extrovert. I'm extroverted when I need to be, but I prefer to be an introvert.
Yes.
I get that totally. So today I wanted to talk about not just building a business, but a feel-good revolution that both you and I have fell in love with. And because I think we both come from a place that when you feel better, you're able to do better. And for a lot of years, I know for myself, I can't speak for you, Liane, I always felt like I was looking from the outside in, trying to fix things on the outside. And this is the first thing that I've been introduced with, although I've been thinking about my history and I've used this frequency before to heal myself from something else, that this has started to feel from the inside out. And I think for so many people, that is the missing piece for them. So share a little bit about what drew you here and what's got you excited and what lights your fire.
Thank you. So I think something that you just touched upon that is so valuable and something that I teach on, all the time is, as people, we very much, for the most part, live from the outer to the inner, which then leads us often to feeling depleted, perhaps feeling like we're disconnected, frustrated, worried, anxious, all those sorts of things. And really, it's to practice, because it's not a one and done, right? It's practicing the practice, and it's lifelong, to live from the inner to the outer.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a tool and a skill that the good news is can always be developed. Like it's always accessible to us. And but it has to be something that we really prioritize. And so one of the things about this feel-good movement that really drew me in was this piece, is recognizing that, like, if we are not taking care of the inner, and that's just not supplementation. It's not just one thing, but it's the whole, like the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
then then what is going on inside, we see on the outside,
Yeah.
right?
I,
And so, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think that is, because I feel like right now we're in an epidemic of burnout. Like everybody is reaching their max. And I love that you said that, like, it's the mind, body, soul. Like it's got to fix all three. We focus just on one. So do you think that that is part of the reason why people are feeling that level of burnout and exhaustion and overwhelm and like living on that fuse? About a month ago, I felt like my fuse was this long. Like it wouldn't
Mhm.
matter. I could flip out with a piece of paper on a counter. Um, and I feel differently about that now. Do you think that last lack of connection plays into that burnout?
Yeah, absolutely. So we like I think the biggest question is are we actually living life, right? Because I was watching this. I don't know if it's is it Gen Z? I don't know what generation, like the
Oh yeah.
youngest generation right now, are trading in their phones for flip phones, because they're tapping into the fact that it's taking away from that vitality, right?
Yeah.
And I talk with women all the time where we're wanting to move more away from the devices, and there's power to them, right, when
Mhm.
we use them in particular ways. uh, and I think we're starved for connection, right? And so one of the things that really intertwines with this feel good movement, and some of the work that I do, that I was really thinking about, was I remember I was sitting with maybe a group of 25 women who were in a home, who had left their homes due to abuse. Some of them maybe had young children or were pregnant or had just given birth, and they would not look up, they would not make eye contact with you. And I think at one point I just said, has anyone ever told you that you are worthy, that you are valuable? And just by me saying that, I saw a few eyes look up. And then that changed the game. And afterwards, I had some of them wanting to come and show me their baby and whatnot. And I share this because
Yeah.
I think it's a true testament to the power of human connection and women in community. And I've worked with women my whole life. I'm going to start to cry now. I've
Yeah.
worked with women my whole life, primarily in spaces where they're coming because they are depleted. They are not feeling good. They've spent their whole life taking care of their family and whatnot, and that is like worthwhile. That is part of our living experience as women.
Yeah.
And when I used to teach mom and baby and prenatal practices, because that was one of my specialties, I always knew, how it unfolded. It's like I love teaching that time in space, because they recognized that they were bringing life into the world, and they took such good care of themselves, because they were holding life literally, right?
Right. Yeah.
Form
Yeah.
of
Yes.
a baby. And I knew for the most part that I wouldn't see these women again for another 20 years, because life gets busy, they're doing all the things, and slowly some of that care for themselves slips away.
Yeah.
I went through it, like we all go through it, right? um and I used to say to them, you know I know this is going to sound selfish, and it's not the way that we're taught, but you come first. Like, you need to take care of your own being first, because if you are not coming from a cup that's full, then it's misdirected. It ends up, right, being misdirection. And so my hope, and I share this with everyone here, even now, my hope is that we remember what it feels like to be fully turned on and tuned in and aligned, so that we can truly step into the world and do all these things, like take care of our families, take care of our children, our aging parents. Like, those are not, those are blessings, and it takes energy. And, in order to fully support and hold space for these, different life transitions, we need to care for ourselves. And I think that that's why this feel good movement, and the mission behind it, like I was saying, intertwines so beautifully, with what I've been doing for all these years, because that's what this is about, right?
Yeah. And I feel like so many women, I think you're younger than me, but especially in my age group, we're exactly where you're talking about. We had babies, we forgot to take care of ourselves, we didn't fill our cup. And then you hit my age, 50, 55, and your cup is empty. And you feel like you don't know what your value is. You don't feel like you know what your purpose is anymore. Now I'm going to get teary eyed.
And
And
and I also want to say that that is not by any fault of the circumstances that we are in, or the people that we care for. Like,
right.
that is on us. Returning back to that question, do you know how valuable you are, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I love that line. There's this line I saw not that long ago, where it was like, if you had to live in someone else's body for 1 year, knowing that you had to give their body back after that year,
How would you treat
would
it?
you be looking after it the same way that you are looking after yourself now? I
Yeah.
think that's a powerful question.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of us don't even take care of our body as well as we take care of our car.
Yeah.
Like, we take our car in for regular maintenance, and you hear the slightest little knock and you're like, oh, don't want that to be a problem. I'm going to deal with it now. And yet our body knocks at us in so many ways.
Yeah.
And we're like, not right now, not right now, not
Yeah.
right now, not right now. I think this is a perfect segue to kind of move into, because I love everything you're sharing, your experience with frequencies, and how, when we got introduced to this frequency charged nutrition and the mission, I know that it spoke to you in a big way, because you and I have both been in this profession for a long time, aligned with, like you said, many other companies that I loved. Like, I loved every company that I was with. I loved something about that company. There's a fly in here. But when this was brought to me and brought to you, it hit a whole new chord.
Yeah. Well, I was sharing not too long ago, when we had a group of people together, that this has been my way of life. Like, to me, it's not new, right?
Right.
So when we talk about frequency, right? Like, everything is frequency, like absolutely everything. So if you like, even just like dumb it down, like the simplest way possible is, like, think about music, for example, right? There are certain, pieces of music that make you feel a certain way, and other music that makes you feel another way, right?
Okay.
And that's like that for everything, right? People, what we take in through our eyes, whether it's like, Netflix, or you see this post or that post, or whatnot. And so, that matters, right? Like, in its simplest way. It's like, just the other day, actually, I started watching a show of some sort, and I thought, oh, this might be good. And I started watching it, and it kind of was like a thriller sort of thing. And I ended up having to turn it off because I started to recognize like what it was doing, like at an
Yeah,
internal level, like energetically, right? We're all energy. Everything is energy.
yeah,
And, the way that we move, the objects, the people, like everything, right? And I just started to notice that I wasn't feeling good. And so I
yeah,
turned it off, right? And carried on. But, our life is interweaved in this way, right? Some
yeah,
of us are in spaces energetically where we don't even realize or recognize that it's either um, affecting us in like a positive or negative way,
yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. There's as much good energy out there as there is not so good energy. I was flying to Winnipeg for our event the other couple weeks ago, and I'm a nervous flyer anyways, but I was having a better experience than I had been. But this woman sat between this man and I, and the whole time she was there, I was like, I was just kind of pissed off, like, and I couldn't understand why, because I wasn't that way before. And what was interesting, as soon as the plane landed, she was one of those people who rush out of her seat and have to get out right away. Like, we're in the second last seat, lady. You're not going anywhere. But the second she got up into the aisle and stood up, I felt like lit, and it dawned on me like her energy was
Yeah.
disrupting my energy. Like it had eroded it affected how I was feeling. And as soon as she got up, that lifted, and I was like, "Ooh, that feels better." And it took me a minute to connect the dots.
So this is what's super cool about this, and I'm glad you mention it because I've been thinking a lot lately about, my journey in the last 30 years in business. And yoga for me, I started practicing because at the age of 16, I was an anxious mess. And I just really had a hard time operating like just at like a very basic level
Right.
um, in life. And it felt hard. Like it felt hard just doing the simplest things. And I realized that at one point at a very young age that I was not living. I was surviving. And I don't know if I experienced that at such a young age so that I could go through it and then be able to support others in this process. I guess so, because that was my experience. But I was literally surviving. And so at that time, I was going for counseling and, the whole 9 yards. And, you're just talking about, your feelings and all those things. And they wanted to medicate me. And I had a moment where I said, no, just stop. Like there was something in me that was like, the quickest way is through my body. Like I need to, and I was like a high level athlete. Like prior to that, like I competed. I was like a national gymnast.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and I retired. And I do really believe that transition, and I talked about this in a post just yesterday, I think, right? Where, my energy was focused on something, right? On contribution, on supporting, the arts in some way. Like I felt good doing what I was doing. And then all of a sudden I stopped, and then it felt like I was in this void. And I do really believe that like that space, that liminal space, was where like that anxiety started to come up, because I was like, okay, well, now what? Right. And so back to you sharing about being on the plane, I've been reflecting, and I'm like, I've done yoga for, and I don't say this like, oh, I've done yoga for, 30 something years. Like, it's not that. I always recognized it wasn't about the yoga. Like the yoga, I've been doing it all these years for something bigger than me,
Right.
like to
Yeah.
support me, right? it's not, I don't go do it because I love it. Frankly, there's days I don't want to step on my mat because I, don't want to really look at, myself. but the thing that I wanted to say is we have the ability, when we move through our body and we have these tools in place. Now, some of us, like, we don't have them yet. And that's okay, right? We're all at different places. We have the ability to shift that energy around us.
Right.
So you're sitting there and you're, beside somebody and you're feeling agitated for whatever reason, right? And I'm a Pisces, so I feel extra everywhere.
I'm a Cancer, so they too are like an emotional bundle of craziness.
Yeah. So, but we have that capacity. We have that capacity to not only shift the energy for ourselves, we can transform also for that person beside us.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's so interesting. And for me, it was the first time that I had the insight and the awareness of it. And now that'll trigger it quicker for me when I get that kind of like, ooh, I want to punch somebody in the face. It'll trigger it for me, and I'll think about that, like what's in my surroundings. And I think people just don't think about how much that impacts. I found it really interesting that you talked about music, because Michael Jackson recorded all of his music at a particular frequency because he knew that frequency would make people feel good when they listen to it. That's why so many people love his music. And it's just so underestimated. I love that. So Liane, share a little bit about, we do have this frequency charge nutrition, and we talked about the mind and the soul. Let's talk a little bit about what we can do for our body from that perspective. And specifically, I want you to kind of share how frequency charge nutrition, like, what do you think that, like, how much of an impact does that have? And then I want you to talk about this source trace mineral, because you explain it so well, and it blew my mind when you explained it to me.
Yeah. So super cool story is that, when I was looking at this and the name popped up, like, I'm all about synchronicity. Like I can pause, right? Like, and that's like from years of like training, right? It's like in, movement therapy, it's like breath first, movement second, right? So it allows us to slow down from the inside out, so I can catch like little things, right? And I'm human, I have my days, right? These trace minerals happen to have the same name as my yoga business, which to me was like, how cool is that? Like that, like right away, I was like, okay, I'm listening, right?
Yeah.
And so, so we have this duo, right? It is trace minerals, and then we have the Rise, which is methylated B vitamin and a bunch of mushrooms, not those kinds of mushrooms, but they're still really great.
Yeah.
But these really stem from, and I love this, from Barb, who, and if you don't know her or haven't listened to her, like, get in a room with her, because I could listen to her speak all day. But this is a humble woman who, her husband was into frequency. Her daughter, I imagine myself to be like what her daughter was like, potentially, right? Like, anxiety and whatnot. Anyway, she had an accidental overdose, and she talks about that process of not only her daughter, but also her as a mother supporting another in that time and space. And it takes an elevated awareness in order to do this well, right? And so anyway, in comes this duo, because then a couple of years later, they're like, We need something that can support people in, their baseline, really. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about the trace minerals. So trace minerals is something that like our body doesn't produce. And normally we get it through the foods that we eat, which hopefully if we are, maybe we're growing our own food, which a lot of us aren't, right? Like the bottom line is like, you're hard pressed to get like as much of it as you need. Then you have like all the stuff that they put in our treated water, et cetera, right? So trace minerals is like the spark plug. I was like talking with somebody about gardening, and she was telling me about how she was planting her garden, and she's like, she wants the best yield out of her garden, right? She wants like those vegetables, she wants all of those things. And so she was telling me about all the fertilizer, like all the things she was putting in the soil. And we're not any different. Like
Right.
our own body, like we are the earth, essentially. We are soil. That's why, if somebody is like struggling to, be centered and ground, and they're feeling, a little bit all over the place, right? It sounds like so, what's the word I'm looking for? Not cliche, but like it's like frou frou.
Yeah.
Woo woo,
Yeah.
right? To go ground, like to put your feet in the earth. And I love that, like some of these like modalities and some of these products and like frequencies and all that stuff, like they've been around for like, I don't know how many, like thousands and thousands of years, but like they're becoming mainstream
Yes.
more and more. And that to me is exciting, because that to me has always just been my undercurrent my whole life,
Right.
right? I don't
Yeah.
think to even talk about it. It's just, that's
Yeah.
just normal to me, right? But I recognize that it's not necessarily like normal for everyone else, right? But when they feel it, they feel it.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
to be able to put language to it, right?
yeah. And like you said, so many people do it. You're in a bad mood, you put a song on. You don't even realize that that frequency is lifting you. You're not feeling good, you go out for a walk, and suddenly you come back and you're like, you think the exercise did it for you, which it did, but it's also the connection of the frequencies of the sun and the earth and all those kinds of things. It sounds woohoo, but it's so based in science. Ultrasound is frequency. Like
Yeah.
when they use an ultrasound, that's frequency. When they defibrillate your heart, that's a frequency. Nowadays, even when they clean your teeth, it's frequency. How many
Yeah.
people listen to white noise at night? That's
Yeah.
frequency. It sounds woohoo, but it's so based in science.
Yeah. Yeah. So the source has also fulvic acid in it. And so what's cool about it is that binds, you know, toxins like free radicals, toxins from the environment. It binds, those toxins bind to, it's a binder
Yeah.
essentially, and it helps to just cleanse, right? So this is like the spark plug. I don't know if I said that. This is like the
Yeah.
spark plug, and the spark plug to every function in your body, like everything, right?
Yeah.
And I love this conversation because it's not just like another um, you know weight loss product. It's not just this product. It's not just that. Like to me, it's just like very foundational. And I feel like it's something that, just having that baseline of
Yeah.
nutrients for people. Like I think of even like my own children, who it's like, well, I just want, I want an energy drink, or I want to, right? And I'm like, there are better ways. There are better ways, and we just need to like get it out there, right?
Well, and I think for myself, like everybody thinks they need more energy. We're already at a fight or flight situation for most of us. You don't need more energy. You need more peace and calm, or else if you already are getting, as an average, especially for women, we're already getting 10 times more done in a day than an average human should get done. Like, we're running everywhere. We're doing everything. We're covering all the bases.
And
And
so, oh, sorry, go ahead.
so I feel like what it's done for me is calm my brain down so I can use the energy that I already have. I don't need a quick shot of adrenaline. I don't need another boost of caffeine. I need the calm and the peace and my brain to be quiet for a minute. So I use the energy I already have.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the next piece that kind of fits into all of this that you kind of like skimmed is like the energy and how we're already doing so much. It's then asking ourselves, are the things that we are doing, the things that we are putting our time and our energy into, are they enlivening us?
Yeah.
Right? And years ago, I had done a leadership workshop, and we were talking about like the 5%, and it's like, what would we do for like even just 5% of like more enlivening in our experience, in our daily experience, right? Because a lot of the time it's like we're busy, but are we just filling in gaps, or are we doing the things that really light us up? And that's the vision for me in this type of work has always been to support, like, I love women, right? So mostly like women, because I know that we wear like a gazillion hats, and we will work our ass off to get things done. We will work our ass off to like make that paycheck, to feed the kids, to put a roof over the head, all those things. Some of us have businesses, like that was my case. Like, I had a business, and it's nonstop. Like, especially if you have like, something that's near and dear to you, like you're not always necessarily scaling it, right? Like, it's just like you love this business as it is, right? But we don't often talk about the back end stuff of some of these businesses. And so for me, it's always been about how, as community of business owners, especially in the health and wellness field, because I find that so many of us have big hearts to want to serve, to want to support others, and we need it. The world, like, just look around. We need so many more of us to be doing this light work. And I've seen it over and over again, so many are depleted, right? You can only do so much. It can be tough, right? And it's like, how can we support each other, as an undercurrent in the background, so that we are fully resourced? I know, like, talking about money has always been like, a thing that like we don't talk a lot about, but it's like, no, this is important. It's like, this is also part of the wholeness, right? Like, we need to be fully resourced in order to be able to, do the things that light us up, or do the things that, we talk all about, having that time and that freedom and that, peace of mind and all that kind of stuff. We need the roots to be stable,
Yeah. I love that. That's a perfect segue. And I think it really embodies what we both see here as an opportunity, because I agree with you. Like, you can't have peace and calm when you're in financial stress. Like, it just does not work. And, so many of us women, specifically, like you said, how many times do women pride themselves on saying, I'm a multitasker. I can do 8 million things at one time. And yet it's not working for you, because in the end, you're exhausted, you're tired, you have nothing left to give. And so, this opportunity of frequency charged nutrition. And we don't just have nutrition, we have jewelry, we have straws, we have skincare, we have essential oils, we have pet tags, for crying out loud, that are frequency charged, because everything, like you said, is frequency. What I love about this opportunity is that the mission, like you said, is so powerful to help people find that peace and calm, work on the whole, the mind, body, soul, and also an opportunity to create another stream of income for yourself by sharing this, because there's no one else in the world doing what we're doing. Like, there's frequency charged items, but there's not frequency charged nutrition or a line of different things like we have. And so when you back that up with our feel good revolution, to really, I know one of their visions is to create mental health facilities for women that they can go for free and get treatment. That is one of our invisible angel. And I know that aligns with everything that I know about you, Liane, that is like your mission as well. You can come here and be a part of a solid community. And we both have, like I said, been in this profession before, been with other companies, but I've never felt so aligned with a mission where my family has suffered with so many of those things. We've lost people in my family. I mean, is there anybody out there that's not struggling with one form of mental health, whether it's a family member or yourself, or, you know, you feel that little bit of blue, or you just, like you said, you're living, but you're not thriving. I think a month and a half ago, my smile never went past my teeth. Like, it was like, people would say, how are you? I'd be like, good. And in my head, I'm like, I'm not good, but what else am I going to say? Right. And this opportunity, this company, this mission is a life raft.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, I think when you're guided by, you know, a purpose, I think that, you know, that's something that connects us as human beings is, you know, we value, even though like we might not talk about it, but like connection, like human connection, and to be purposeful in that. So like one of the things, like really quickly, like I used to do when I used to run marathons, that's like a struggle. Like it's hard work, you know, running for that long, right? And one of the things I would do when I would run is I could choose to focus on, like, you know, my struggle, but I would actually run alongside people that I thought, you know, could use like a little, you know, a little support. And I would just run alongside them for a little bit. And I would just say, like, keep going. Like, you're doing good. Like, we got this, you know. And you could see like their whole, there again, it's like the energy behind it, right? Everything shifted for them. And they're like, yeah, okay, thanks, right? And then that lifted me up too, right? So that interconnectedness of community working towards like a common vision of helping raise everyone up, I think it's a worthwhile cause.
Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. That is our feel good revolution.
Yeah.
That is what we're trying to do here. So whether you're looking for, you know, some support with your mental health, whether you're looking for some support from community, whether you're looking for some support for financial, it's here. And if you're, I feel like we could talk forever, so I think we probably have to do this again. But if this spoke to you, if this anything rang, or you're like, my friend needs to hear this, I hope that you tag them in this and share it with them, because that is the whole point. If we can reach one person that we can run alongside and say, you're okay. And I love how you opened it, Liane, when you said you're in that room with women and you're like, has anybody ever told you you're worthy? And I was like, that's like, I know we want people to just feel that. So reach out to Liane or myself if you want more information. You said if you can get in a room with our CEO, Barb, she's actually going to be doing a presentation tonight. So we can get you that link and you can hear her live, because I agree, whether it's her or Dave, either one, you're going to be like, oh, your mind blown. If your mind's blown at all with this, wait till you hear them. So thanks, Liane, for jumping on with me today. This was a beautiful conversation. And I just really appreciate you showing up and sharing all of it with us. So anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
I love you. That's it.
Ditto, ditto, ditto. Okay, we're going to end this, and hopefully if you have any questions, if you want any information, just reach out.